What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Stocks with Mike and Tom show. We have a lot of great news to talk about. The market had an amazing day today. We saw stocks like Enphase, Zoom, Tesla, and even the ARK ETFs up significantly today. In today's video, we have to talk about what happened in the market today, but also some important news regarding Bitcoin in the market in general. At the end of this video, we have a $4.1 million options trade that expires tomorrow, so make sure to stick around for that. And if you guys are new here, don't forget to subscribe. We post brand new videos every single day. But Tom, what happened in the market today?
The first thing I'm going to cover is this Bitcoin news, which was insane. And the U.S. Treasury calls for stricto cryptocurrency compliance with the IRS. And Yellen came out today and said that cryptocurrencies can pose a tax evasion risk. And the Treasury Department announced that it will require any transfers worth $10,000 or more into crypto to be reported to the IRS. And that's pretty big news. I know right now a lot of people have been kind of getting around taxes with that. And, I think that obviously you're supposed to report it, but of course some people don't. But now that the government's going to be knowing exactly who's doing what with their transfers, it's going to make it to where they can finally audit people. And this honestly is a lot of traders angry. And it seems like as soon as Bitcoin and stuff started to recover, Yellen came out and the Treasury came out with this news about this with the IRS and taxing Bitcoin. And we can see it just sent it down midday, 12 p.m. Eastern time. We can see Bitcoin really tank off around 42,000 and then come all the way down to like 38,200 at the low, and then start to end the day around 40K. And overall, just very volatile movement. And a lot of traders were really angry at this kind of revelation. But as we all know, Bitcoin has been kind of going unregulated for quite a long time now. And I think as more people start to trade it and starts to become more of a regularity in society, it's obviously going to get regulated a little bit more. And I think that this is just the start of it.
Poor Bitcoin has taken a beating lately. It's down around 50% from all-time highs, or at least it was yesterday. And then it had that negative China news yesterday, and then it had the negative U.S. news today, and then we had Elon trolling Bitcoin. So poor Bitcoin has been taking a beating. Overall, I think I like Bitcoin for the long term, and only God knows the bottom, but I like it for the long term. And I think that this dip will be a good buying opportunity. And who knows, Bitcoin might fall more, or maybe this is the bottom. No one knows, but I like Bitcoin and Ethereum, especially for the long term. But what else happened in the market today?
Yeah, Israel and Hamas agreed to a ceasefire over their Gaza conflict. And I'm not going to get political with it or anything, but the news comes on the heels of a Wednesday call with President Joe Biden and Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. And during the call, Biden said that he expects a significant de-escalation in the violence, according to a White House readout of the said call. And we saw some of the markets really rising back today, like the SPY. And overall, we saw a ton of stocks rising, like tech stocks and just stocks of just almost everything. The market had a pretty good day today, recovering back up. And I'm not sure if it's solely to do with this Israel and Hamas ceasefire news, but it's definitely good news for the market overall and just for world peace in general. So it's good to see the ceasefire happening. And obviously, hopefully that helped the SPY today. But man, tech really stole the show. And we saw tons of stocks recover, like Tesla, Microsoft, Apple, and just tons of other ones. And we can see Tesla itself is up 4%, which is a huge factor.
Absolutely. And I was just going to talk about Tesla. They had an amazing day. Like you just said, up around 4%. And even Enphase killed it today, up around 8.5%. They are really exploding. I really like this stock for the long term. And it seems like a lot of the beaten down growth stocks are really the stocks that popped the most today. And if we take a look at the ARKK ETF, which is ARK's flagship fund, they're up around 3.5% today. So that's awesome to see. They're bouncing right off that $100 support. But overall, it's just been great to see these growth stocks finally have a solid green day, because I know that there's been so much selling pressure over the past couple weeks and months.
Yeah, I'm getting excited. I think we're starting to see a good confirmation off of these lower supports, and good news for everybody who's been buying these dips. It's a pretty good situation right now, honestly, unless the market keeps going down, of course. But a lot of people are really looking forward to a nice recovery here over the next few days. And it's just nice to see the QQQ kind of double bottoming here at 317. The SPY came back up today off of that 405, 406 support and came back above 410 even, and just a crazy volatile day. with the SPY in the market overall, and just overall great volatility and movement to the upside. And honestly, I'm not sure, there's so much movement today that there might be a little bit of volatility at open tomorrow. But overall, I'm looking for a good continuation. And I really like the double bottoms, especially on the daily. Like we can see the SPY double bottom, the QQQ double bottom. Even if we go look at DIA, it even double bottom down here. So there's a whole bunch of good technicals going on as well in the market. And I think that just gives investors just that little bit of extra confidence when they buy at those supports.
So, Tom, I have a really tough question for you. Do you think that, especially like if we look at like tech stocks and the QQQ, do you think this is the bottom? Like, I know that we've seen a lot of mixed sentiment over the past couple months. And what are your thoughts on like this movement in general?
Yeah, I mean, we never really know. Unfortunately, one of the big things right now is these FOMC meetings, and it seems like Powell is going to have a pretty big saying in the market over the next few months to come. So honestly, like until we see some of like this news about inflation rising and the rates going up a little bit more, I think that we might start to maybe like retest highs, maybe like 340. But I'm with you. I definitely don't think that this is the bottom. I think that overall, there's still more movement to go to the downside, but just with the momentum we saw today, for tomorrow specifically, I'm not sure if the market's going to come down tomorrow specifically, but I will say over the next few months to few weeks, I think that coming forward, especially with the inflation, with the rates, with even like gas prices, oil, stuff like that, I think that it's going to pose a pretty big thing on the market. And, like you said, there's a huge position also on QQQ, and they're still holding it. And that's honestly a pretty big sign. It has me, that's definitely in the back of my head as I'm looking at this, because it definitely looks like a solid double bottom, like it's trying to come back up. But over the next couple of days, we might hit the 340 resistance and just tank off to the downside. And, we always see that whenever the market goes down, it likes to go down very, very quickly. So keep in mind that once that catalyst or that news does come out, it'll probably be like a big pre-market or after hours drop off the initial news that'll make it really fly down. So it's just one of those situations where I really like it how they caught the top on that huge play, Mike. And that video you put out a couple weeks ago is a pretty big video. I think everyone should go back and watch that.
Yeah, so I asked you a tough question, Tom, and I kind of put you on the spot, but it's hard to get a good reading on this because, we have a lot of respectable or respected investors like Michael Burry, who is loading up or who has loaded up on Tesla puts and then TLT puts that is basically making a bet that inflation will rise a lot more than expected. And then at the same time, like we're waiting to hear this important inflation news from Powell. But then if we look at the QQQ and at some of these prices of like, especially, beaten down tech stocks like Zoom and DraftKings and even the ARK fund in general, like their prices right now are pretty good. So it's really hard to say. And for what Tom was saying with like the big option on QQQ, I made a video a couple weeks back called the $217 million options trade. And basically, some institution loaded up $217 million into QQQ put options, and they basically caught the top of the market, and they're still holding. So either way, there's a lot of confusing factors right now, and it's hard to say. But Tom, let's get right into the momentum plays in the member of the day. With today's member of the day, we have SC 2020. Huge shout out, SC 2020. Thanks for being a great member of the Discord community and asking great questions, but just being a great member overall. We really appreciate everything you do within the community. But now let's get right into the momentum plays for tomorrow. And with the first one, we have Enphase to the upside.
Yeah, and with Enphase, this is really starting to gap up, but make it break above 143. And if it does tomorrow, this one could really start to run as we can see how much momentum this stock has.
All right, and then we have Tesla.
Tesla, TSLA to the upside again. Make them go ahead and break above 590 tomorrow morning.
All right, and then with the last one, we have Roku.
Roku, let's go ahead and make them break above 337.
All right, so we are eyeing these three plays for potential day trades tomorrow, only if they break above the levels Tom listed to the upside. But now let's get right into the $4.1 million options trade for tomorrow. And we are looking at the Tesla 595 strike call options that expire tomorrow. So looking at these ones, they're about, you could say, $7 out of the money right now. Tesla had an amazing day today, and Tesla is a stock that loves to run. They've risen a lot in the past, and they have a lot of potential, like on a day-to-day basis. Like today, they were up 4%. So they're known for having huge moves, and just with the way it's moving, I really wouldn't doubt if we see, Tesla up tomorrow. But Tom, can you give us some more like insight, like maybe some resistance levels to watch out for or something like that?
Yeah, intraday, I think there's some pretty good resistances, especially around the $600 level there. I think that that's been touched quite a few times in the past, and Tesla's came down. Now, it does look very strong today. It has started to pop up. It really came up off that support around 560, which was awesome to see in pre-market this morning. And then it just started really rocketing up. And I would say if we break like 590 tomorrow, watch out for 600 above 590, and then above 600. If we keep going, let's go back a little bit further on the 15-minute chart, but above 600, watch out for 620. And I'm not sure that we'd hit 620 tomorrow with the movement, but man, this is a pretty crazy option. This play expires tomorrow, and it's the 595 calls, and I would think that they're longing them, just given everything that we're seeing, like you said, especially with it being so close to 595 and how much Tesla moves. I mean, we are about 10 points away on the stock, but Tesla moves quite a bit. We can see today it moved 23 points. So it generally has pretty big moves out of it. And I would think that they're longing this just given what's going on. But with it being one day away, it kind of worries me. They might be shorting it, but with everything we see with the momentum, I would have to say they're longing it personally. And I would have to say that 600 resistance is definitely going to pose as a good level tomorrow.
All right, well, let's get right into our questions from the previous episode. And with the first question, we have Rich saying, great informative video, guys. Any other recommendations of good stock movies like The Big Short to watch? So, The Big Short is probably the most informative and probably like one of my favorite. Wolf of Wall Street and Boiler Room are also very entertaining, and they have to do with stocks. Wall Street's pretty good. And then I've been wanting to watch a movie that came out a couple years ago. It's called The Hummingbird Project. Let me know if you guys watch this movie. Just let me know in the comments down below. But I've been wanting to watch it. It has to do with like high frequency trading and like all that good stuff. And I know that high frequency trading has really been on the rise over the past decade. And I just love that type of stuff. So I've definitely been wanting to watch that.
Yeah, that movie's actually looked pretty interesting, and it has the same actor from The Social Network, and he's
Yeah.
pretty good in those types of movies. So definitely a good watch there, and I'll definitely check that out. I think, Mike, good recommendation. That's one, but my favorite one I think is definitely The Wolf of Wall Street. You can't go wrong with good old Jordan Belfort, you know.
I know that's a crazy movie. But let's get right into the next question, and we have Jason saying thoughts on TME. So 10 cent, they're up around 4.5% today. TME has been doing very well over the past year. They went from about $11 all the way up to 32. Now they're all the way back down to 15. I like the setup. I don't love it. I think it's like decent for like long-term calls right now, but it's definitely a speculative trade. I cannot stress it enough. It is definitely a speculative trade. IV is pretty low. The stock got beaten down quite a bit over the past couple months. So, what do you think, Tom?
Yeah, the good news is that it's kind of around support around $14. So if you were going to get it, personally, I would recommend not even getting calls at all, even if they're longer term. I would probably recommend just getting shares, especially since it's so low. It looks like if it goes back up to highs, you'll make 100% on your shares anyway. So it looks like a pretty good opportunity as far as shares go, especially if you like the company. And I don't know exactly what 10 cent does, but it looks like they had a lot of hype behind them. And in the future, they could definitely rise again.
Alrighty, with the next question, we have Ryan saying, I bought more Doge and picked up some shares of Disney for the long term. So, Disney's one of those powerhouse stocks, and they're doing pretty good in general. They finished the day up around 1.5%, and they're bouncing off that 170 support pretty well. Do you have any levels on this one?
Yeah, I really like that support right around 170. I think that's amazing. If we start to go up tomorrow, I think we might have a little intraday resistance around 175. So watch out for that. But I really like it off support and for the longer term. But I think that 175 will be a pretty good level intraday. I should say like 174.20 to 175, somewhere between there. So it has about like an 80 cent like chop zone or like little cushion there. So watch out.
All right. And then we have Susan saying, honestly, do you guys think people are going to be buying in on Bitcoin when it's above 80,000? I want it to get to 100,000, but at the same time, I don't know if people are dumb enough to buy and pump it that high, but I don't know. So I think it definitely has potential. I think a lot of people can make the same argument for Bitcoin when it was only at $1,000, and if it was ever going to get to 50,000 or 60,000. So I think it definitely has potential to get to 80,000 and even 100,000. And I know a lot of institutions have been buying into it, and I know it's been getting adopted a lot more. And I think there's definitely potential, and even people have been using it as a hedge against inflation in the market in general. So I definitely think it's possible.
I do too. And it's just one of those situations where it's a stock that is, or not a stock, I should not, definitely not a stock, but a cryptocurrency that you can trade. And it's just one of those deals where it rose in the past from like 3,500 all the way to 65,000. It rose at the beginning from like like under a cent all the way back in the day, all the way up to 20,000 on the initial first run. And whenever you see this stuff happen, it could easily keep running up to 100,000. And one thing to keep in mind is that while people while it does cost 80,000, the good thing about it is that people can buy in fractionally to it. So they don't have to buy 80 grand worth. They can buy $1,000 worth and buy like 0.025% of Bitcoin. So it's just one of those deals where you can kind of fractionalize into it. And I think that's the big reason why it can keep going up. It's not like people need to shell out 30 grand a share or anything like that.
Yeah, and on August 24th of 2011, one Bitcoin only cost around $10. And to put that into perspective, if you wanted to buy one Bitcoin today, it would cost you over 40,000. So I definitely think it has potential to rise. But Tom, do you have any last minute stocks or anything you're watching for tomorrow?
Man, really just big tech is going to be the big watcher. We saw QQQ flying, the SPY flying. Definitely watch out for Apple tomorrow. I think this is going to be an awesome one. If they can break 128, I think it could have a really good move. And if we go to the 1 year daily on Apple, they're kind of holding this decent support here around like 123 to 120, and they're starting to come back up. And this doesn't mean they're going to go up for sure tomorrow, but it just looks like a very solid setup with a double bottom, and they might continue up. And I would like I said, definitely make them break 128 if you're going to trade it. But this is a pretty safe stock. And generally, if they start to see a lot of momentum at open, they do run kind of like we've seen over the past few days.
Sounds great. Well, if you guys want to trade with Tom and I every single day and get access to our bots, you can click the first link in the description down below for about $40 off. The plays have been really hot lately with the bots and just the plays in general. Day trading, swing trading, long term, you name it, we probably have it. But thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and come join Tom and I live every single day at Market Open on the new Stocked Up Live channel. The link to that is in the description down below. And if you have any questions on today's video, let us know in the comments down below. But other than that, thanks for watching.